simply because my dad was one. And I'm excited, and our presence here today indicates that you understand that the church's ministry is to pastor and minister unto the total man and the total community, so we greet you. Although the NAACP is nonpartisan, we are very, very, very much political, and that's why we are here. Our mission is to keep the community informed about issues, and one of the issues that each community has is to make sure we vote for the right people. Thank you, candidates, for being here, because your presence here today will enable us to make well-educated and cast well votes the right way for us when we get to the poll. We thank those of you who are here also, and we are depending on you to help us to get the word out about the right candidates. We will certainly hold you accountable for what you say here today up to Election Day. Thank you very much, and we meet the second Tuesday in Leesburg. If you are interested in becoming a member, let Sonia know. Sonia is our civic engagement chairperson, and we are just so happy to have her. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President. We're glad that you're here. We know that you're a super busy lady, so we appreciate you coming to South Lake County to support us. I can tell you that as we have been planning this event, several people in the South Lake community have gained the willingness to become more engaged with the NAACP, and so we hope to represent the branch well moving forward. At this time, we're going to get this party started. We're excited about it. You know, when we started planning this event, we didn't know what the turnout would be. And for us to get just such a great response from the candidates all over the county is absolutely amazing. I want you to know that we're not shoulder to shoulder in here today, but you have some of the most important people in our community here today. And the power in that is when you have members of the executive committee of the NAACP Tri-City branch, they're spread out throughout the county. And like Madam President said, our job is to make sure that we inform our members and our communities of the responses of the people and of the candidates so that we can make good, informed choices. So I want you to think about your responses because we talk about it. On those Tuesday evening meetings, we talk about it. And we are truly a community that believes everyone is important. Everyone has a voice, and one vote can make a difference. And so we want to make sure everyone is informed. At this time, we're going to ask the candidates for the supervisor of election to please take the stage. For those of you that don't know our process, and you can move forward as I'm talking to you. And for those of you that don't know, what we're going to do here today with each candidate, they're going to introduce themselves and share with us a bit of their platform. Once we've gone through all of the candidates, we will ask them 2 questions. Everyone will receive the same 2 questions. We will guide that, Ms. Paula Hoisington, raise your hand, please. She will be asking questions as well as Pastor Chris Walker, who blessed us with the invocation. So with that being said, we're going to get started on our candidates. And for the general audience, even though we're asking 2 questions, we'll have a brief Q&A at the end of once all the candidates have spoken, so you'll have an opportunity to ask your questions if there are any. With that being said, we'll get started with Supervisor of Election candidate. I'm sorry, I'm going straight to Senator Alan Hayes. Senator Alan Hayes has represented us for a very long time. And if you will, sir, give us an intro and a little bit of your platform. Other candidates, please follow in suit and in order of the program. And then I'll ask the questions, and we'll just kind of reverse that and go back down there.
Thank you, Sonia. We appreciate it. And thank you to each and every one of you who've taken your time on Saturday afternoon to come out and be a better informed voter. We really appreciate it. And Deacon Montgomery, thank you and your comrades for defending this country so that we can be here today and we can exercise the privilege to vote that that you guys made possible, and many that went before you. Only but for the grace of God, we would have been there in Vietnam too, and we do appreciate it very much. And thank you, Madam President, for leading the Tri-City chapter to have informed voters. To me, voting is one of the highest privileges that we as Americans have. And it's our obligation to honor the efforts of men like Deacon Montgomery and others who have gone before us by exercising that privilege to vote. And we need to get as many people to the polls as we can. I truly have confidence in the judgment of the American voters that if they will all go out and vote. And thank you, Pastor, for having it in a church, because we need to get the Christians registered to vote, and we need to make sure that they go vote and that they vote according to their biblical principles. That is so critical, I think, that we must have voters that vote according to biblical principles. This country was founded on those same biblical principles, and we flourished greatly while we were governed following those principles. But we have strayed from that. And it reminds you somewhat of the children of Israel, how they strayed and God took his hand of blessing from them, and then they repented and God blessed them again. And he can do the same thing from America. My platform is I want to make sure that every eligible voter in Lake County has an opportunity to vote. They know when the elections are going to be held, and that they know who the candidates are, and they can go and vote. We need that. Not only is Mrs. Stegall retiring, but 4 others in that office are retiring. 35% of the workforce in that office are leaving due to retirement. We must have someone take over that office who has executive administrative experience in leading a group of people to create harmony and teamwork so that we can continue to have the same excellent results from our elections department that we have had over the last several years. And it's my pleasure, my honor, if you would select me to be that next supervisor of elections. I have experience as a private business owner. I've been a dentist for the last 40 years. I've owned my own practice in Umatilla. I have hired people. I have trained people. I've had the privilege of having people work for me as long as 28 years. That one lady worked for me as a chairside assistant. I've had many others that have worked for 10, 15 years at a time too. I've been a legislator for the last 12 years. One of the ladies that I hired the very first time I was in the legislature worked for me for 11 of those 12 years, and then she retired. Somebody keeps saying to me, Alan, when are you going to retire? And I don't know that I ever will. But I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I enjoy serving people. I served them for all those years in my dental practice. I've served them in the legislature. And you mentioned the nonpartisan nature of the NAACP. This office is not a political office. We run in our political process, but it has to be administered in a nonpartisan way. And I've set that example as a legislator. Not one time in the 12 years have I ever asked another person of their party affiliation to depend on whether I'm going to answer their needs as a constituent or not. As far as I'm concerned, the day that the election is held, all reference to party needs to stop. And we need to be Americans. We need to be Lake Countyans. And we need to have that office administered without regard to any differences of political party and that sort of thing like that. I'll be happy to stick around and answer questions. I've given you my little pamphlets, and there's a phone number on there. You're welcome to call if you have any questions. Folks, I thank you for the privilege of serving you as your state senator, and I look forward to continuing that service as your supervisor of elections. Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are y'all doing today? I am Margie Eaton, and I am a candidate for Supervisor of Elections here in Lake County. I ran 4 years ago for this same position. This is where my passion is, trying to get people to understand how important it is, your one vote, and get people involved. Because and I tell people all the time, you don't vote, I don't want to hear you complain. Because you have lost that right to complain. And I've told that to people by my own family. They now vote. And it's so very important, so vitally important to be able to have a voice in the people that represent you. I have never held a political office. This office, I believe, is absolutely non-political, non-partisan. I realize the race itself is partisan, but you cannot have any partisan in that office. Everybody is treated equally, no matter what party they belong to when they come into that office and when they come to the vote, when they come to the precincts to vote. I am a native Floridian. I have lived in Florida all my life, and I have lived in Lake County for 44 years. I have a degree in legal assisting, which is huge in this job because this job is dictated by Florida statute. The rules that we have to follow and the procedures that we do in that office are all, they tell us how we're supposed to do that. And so I think it's vitally important that you can read, understand, and correctly apply those statutes to this job. I also have a bachelor's degree in technical management, and I was a office manager for a construction office for several years. So I also understand the importance of hiring the right people, getting them in the right position, and make sure that it's always a team effort in any office. Yes, we do have some people retiring from that office, and I will say that I'm the only candidate that has made sure that the people that are staying there get to move up. It's been an office that has had the same staff for many years, which is amazing. But in that, you have people that have no room to move up. So I'm hoping that the people that are staying are willing to take on the responsibility and move up in that office because their experience is immeasurable. So that's my hope there. I also, social media, and anyone who has, the phones, we know how important that is. I think we have to get this in the office. And I think this will help us reach our younger voters, letting them know, and I always say it's not like Facebook where I'm going to take a picture and say, oh, here I am, and wave. It's to get information out to people that says, these are the voting dates. If you want to vote in this election, you have to be registered by this state. If you want to get an absentee ballot, you have to request it. And just put out the information, get the information out to people, and I believe if it's easier for them to get it, we will have more that will respond to it, and we will increase our voter turnout. Now there's a saying, you can lead a horse to water, can't make them drink, and that's true. And I think the individual parents, the different organizations that we have, even different communities need to also work on getting people to understand it. But I think that the supervisor of elections needs to make themselves available to come to your meetings, come to your community, go to the assisted living facilities, talk to the people that you work for. Make no mistake, in this office and any other office, you all are our bosses. And I will maintain the humility of remembering that you are the people that are hiring me, and you are the people that are paying me, and I better listen to what you have to say. Otherwise, you'll get me right out of that, because the next time you have the opportunity. And that's how it should be. So I really hope that you check all the candidates, not only of our race, but of every race. Make what you think is the best decision, who will do the best job for you in that office, and who has the biggest heart for it. Because if you get into a job that you don't like, you are not going to do a good job. You'll do a mediocre job at best, and that's never good enough. So I hope you all will consider voting for me on August 30th. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you very much for having us, and God bless you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for allowing us to be here with you. Madam President, thank you for hosting this today. The Tri-City NAACP has meant a lot to me in my years as serving as mayor of Eustis, and I appreciate all that you all do to educate the public. And Pastor, thank you for opening the doors of your beautiful congregation here today. It's outstanding. If the people of the church don't stand back up, our country's in trouble. So by you opening your doors, you're showing that that is a responsibility of the church today. So thank you. A little bit about me that I'd like to share with you today. My name is Mike Holland. I am a candidate for Supervisor of Elections. I was born and raised in Eustis. I'm third generation to be able to proudly call Lake County my home. Growing up in Lake County, I worked for my grandparents at their furniture store that they owned for 70 years in Eustis. Working in that furniture business, I understood and learned the importance of small business to our local economy, to our local government. After I graduated high school, I felt a different calling in my life, so I went to school to become a licensed funeral director. I've been practicing in funeral directing for 25 years, helping people at the worst times of their lives. Working in small family funeral homes and eventually working in large corporate funeral homes. A lot of things that I learned were how to build a team. I was given funeral homes that were struggling. They didn't know how to provide great customer service. So they called me to come in and work with customer service and how to build a team. I've been successful in that. But after years of working in the corporate world, I decided it was time to come back home to a family-owned operation and help them out. You know, we as a community can learn a lot about the way that we handle our dead. If we give respect and honor to those families and to the people that have worked so hard to build our community, it shows the greatness of our community. Folks, we're at a time in our community where that it's now time to rebuild. From many years of bad economy, people struggling, now is the time that we can rebuild together without playing partisan politics, a great community. In 2007, I was asked by members of our community in Eustis if I would consider serving on the Eustis City Commission. I ran. They told me, we're scared of where our city's going. We feel like Eustis is dying. Other communities around us are growing and we're not doing anything. I thought about it for a little bit and I said, you know, it's time for me to stand up. Lake County's been good to me and the people of Eustis have been good to my family. I ran for city commission in Eustis, won that election, ran a second time uncontested. One thing that I learned, and one thing that I want everyone to know, as a sitting city commissioner, you can't be partisan and get a job done. You have to work hard with everyone and not play party politics. I've done that and I've been successful. Eustis is on the move. Eustis is now growing again, and I'm very proud of that fact. You know, as a licensed funeral director, I've only got one chance to get a funeral right. Much like the office I'm seeking today, as supervisor of elections, you get one shot at an election, and it has to be done flawlessly and correctly each and every time. Imogene Stiegel has done that in her 44 years as serving as our supervisor of elections. Many people don't know that she served 14 years prior to that as a deputy supervisor in that office. The team she's built and the knowledge that she's acquired has been tremendous. I hope that you allow me the opportunity to continue that legacy by becoming your next supervisor of elections. My name is Mike Holland, and I ask you to support me to become your next supervisor of elections here in Lake County. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Scott Larson. I didn't prepare anything to say today, so I'm doing this off the cuff. I thought I was going to be meeting and just shaking hands. I have a master's degree in ethics. I've taught ethics around the country. I moved to Lake County about 10 years ago. I did my graduate work, latest graduate work in sociology. My focus was social inequality with directed focus on race and gender. So I can sit here and I can tell you about all the wonderful things Ms. Imogene's done. I can tell you that I'm going to be fair and nonpartisan, but I am nonpartisan. I'm a nonpartisan, no party affiliated candidate. But I want to talk to you about something else. I have faith that everybody running is going to be able to do the job. But Florida is one of the most politically corrupt states. It is listed as the most politically corrupt state in the United States. That is because there is a big difference between what you're mandated to do and what you can do. And there's a lot of ways to legally suppress votes. On top of that, 1 out of every 10 people in Florida can't vote because of past transgression. And of black males, 1 out of every 5 can't vote. I believe that's a reason that an African American has never been elected to a county office in Lake County. Now, I can tell you what I want to do for you, but what I have to tell you is that I want to form a partnership because I can't do this alone. But if I am fortunate enough to be elected, one of my platform ideas is to form partnerships with civic and religious organizations to educate, empower, and encourage people who cannot vote, who have lost their right to vote, have paid their debt in full to get those rights restored. I believe that democracy is a fundamental constitutional right. Just as sacred as the freedom of speech. And a person who is a free citizen should have the right to vote. I can't give that right back. That is a state decision. But in Lake County, I can work with you and try to restore those rights to people who don't even know the process. And my next door neighbor, I asked him if he was registered to vote, and he told me at 19 years old, he did something stupid. He's 45 now. And I said, well, apply, get those rights restored. And he looked at me bewildered. First of all, he didn't even know you could. And then he didn't know how to do it. That's a problem. We have a lot of people in our community that would be voting and could be voting if they just had information on how to put this together. Now, I've taught ethics. I taught at Lake Sumter, and it's something that I believe in. If I'm not the supervisor of elections, I'll be teaching, but I want to serve Lake County. In the last few years, when the school buses were taken away, I ran a blog, fight to get the little children's school buses back. It was called Lake Sumter Safe Schools Initiative. Go look at the past history of that blog, because you're going to see that I use that also as a voice to try to educate the population about many areas, such as the disparity between schools. Leesburg, Beverly Shores, Claremont Elementary, doesn't seem to have the same amount of resources. And we can't change that unless we can educate the public. Also, what I want to do is create more education within the website and the format to tell people how to run for office, how to do citizen-run initiatives. We can change the law. We don't have to ask anybody to do it for us. We can get signatures and put it on the ballot, and we can take charge and do it. I'm not a Republican, and I'm not a Democrat. And the reason is because I don't believe that I want to monopolize one party or the other. I truly look at the candidate, not the party. I'm an issue-driven person, and I believe that the Supervisor of Elections office, first and foremost, should be nonpartisan. I don't even understand why there's a partisan race. But if I'm voting, I'm going to vote for the nonpartisan person, because we can tell you all the stuff we want. Platforms are there, and people are funded. And all the research shows you respond to your funders, not the voters. I beg you to go onto my website, to read about me, read about my experiences, get to know me. You can call me with any questions, but I am passionate in the sense that I am not going to look at this job passively to sit back and make sure the paperwork is right. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and encourage democracy, because the government doesn't work if the people aren't given their voice. Thank you.
So thank you to the candidates. You've answered one of the questions pretty thoroughly, and that is, what changes do you think need to be made? I will ask, given your audience and your host, what do you see as one of the most pressing issues of your office that you're seeking, and what will you do about it?
Well, it's hard to perfect an Imogene because she really has run 44 years of uncontested elections. But there is something else that needs to happen. We have a legislative mandated law enforcement body called the Florida Elections Commission. This is the only law enforcement agency in the entire state of Florida that is forbidden from initiating an investigation, even if a crime happens in plain sight in front of them. It has to be by a citizen petition, citizen complaint. Now, when The newspaper was talking about a situation that I'm not going to go into details about. They said it took a person months to get the right answer to find out how to file this complaint. Now, the supervisor elections can file complaints. They have to choose whether or not they want to take on that role. I already have filed one complaint against a political action committee that has been lying about a specific candidate running for the commission. I'm looking at a second violation right now, and I believe that that officer, see, I can't say people broke the law, but what I can do is initiate the complaint that will initiate the investigation for the state to then come in and look at it. And if this office doesn't do it, it is the Wild West, because nobody else is. And then a political action committee or a candidate can do anything. So I'm going to pledge to take that on this role in the office to look at what's going on. It's not supervisor of the ballot, it's a supervisor of processing reports. It is a supervisor of the elections. And if somebody's breaking the law in the elections office, the supervisor of elections, I believe, has the authority and the responsibility to turn that over to the state and to seek that either stops, that the person is punished or group's punished, and we make sure that we do keep Lake County fair, transparent in our elections.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mayor Holland, giving your audience, same question, and the communities that we represent, what do you see is the most pressing issue, and what do you plan to do?
Thank you for the question. One of the most pressing issues for the Office of Supervisor of Elections will be replacing the staff that's leaving. Within this imaging, you have 4 other folks leaving. One of those is her deputy. So it's going to be very important that we look and find the right people to fill the positions of those retiring. Many have said that they would look outside of our area. I'm a firm believer that we have a great trained workforce right here in Lake County, and we need to put our own people to work. So what I would do would be work to find the right people within our own county, put them to work, and be able to build a strong and hard-working team from right here within the county. And I believe working with groups like the NAACP and other organizations, we can find the right people to put into our office so that it's a fair, run office. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Markey?
Well, I touched on my answer a little earlier, but it's reaching out to the communities, the different communities, because over the past 5 years, I've stayed very active, and people will come up and say, well, you know, we're not represented, the minorities aren't registering to vote. My question is why? Is it because we're not getting out, we're not giving them information, we're not working hard enough to try to get them registered to vote? And so you have to talk to the leaders in your community. Go to the churches, have a voter registration day. You know, there are so many things that we can do to help people understand and to get them involved. And those are the things that I'm going to focus on, because I think that is what that office is supposed to do, especially get out the information. I know we are probably, I'm preaching to the choir here, this is a group of people that will take the time to come to these forums. They will take the time to do their research, but we have an awful lot of people that don't. So I want to try to make it on the website of that office easier for people to go look at the list of candidates, one click take you to their website. Just make it easier. You know, just try to get the information as best you can. You can't force them to accept it. You can't force them to, you know, absorb it. But if you're not even out there trying, then you're going to miss an awful lot of people. Go to the colleges, you know, the high schools. Start getting them interested in the process. The colleges, I said we should let some of the students work at the polls with some of the poll workers who I've talked to, and they said they'd be thrilled to have somebody watching them so they can teach and they can experience. Because I think anytime you actually physically there and experience it, it's much more, you know, it's much better than someone going, well, and you'll do this and blah, 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 you know. It's so much easier for them to understand when they are actually physically there. And that's what I'm going to try to do if I get in the office. Thank you.
Senator Alan Hayes.
Thank you, Sonia. first thing that I'm going to do when I'm elected is I'm going to sit down with the current staff that's there and ask each one of them individually and collectively, what do you need from me to make you look good? I want to find out from them. They are the people that are experienced. None of us up here, and the other gentleman that's running also, none of us have any experience working in a supervisor of elections office. Not one day. So if we hire somebody that is not experienced, it's going to be the blind leading the blind. So we need to sit down with the people that are there that are experienced and say, okay, what do you need from me as the supervisor? Big deal. That's just a title, folks. You got to be a team leader. And people need to understand that leadership is not power. Leadership is influence. If you think that you're a leader and you go out walking, and when you get to your goal, you look around, you don't have anybody with you, you're not a leader. You've just been out for a walk. And what you need to do is a leader will bring people along with them. And that's where I'm going to focus, is working with the people that are there. I have had the privilege of being endorsed by 5 sitting supervisors of elections. The one from Lafayette County, the one from Duval County, from Manatee County, Marion County, and Seminole County. All of those supervisors have endorsed me as the leading candidate in this race. Our Chief Financial Officer, Jeff Atwater, has also endorsed me. I served on the Senate Ethics and Elections Committee, and we wrote the Florida Election Code, chapters 97 through 106. I know what the law says. And as others have pointed out, I too, this office cannot be run as a political office. It must be run by the letter of the law. And that's what I'm committed to do. And what you need to make sure we do is have experienced people running the office. There's so much more that goes on a daily basis. And every one of those 5 supervisors have told me, they said, Alan, make sure, because none of you or your competitors are experienced in the supervisor's office. You need to make sure you get someone with experience, preferably from that office, but if you don't have the people there, you want to get somebody from outside. So that's where I'm headed as supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To all the candidates, thank you very much for your introductions.
May I give one other thing, please, ma'am? And I thought you were going to have other questions, but I do have one other thing.
Okay,
if I could be so bold. I hear a lot about disenfranchisement. I am committed to make sure that every eligible voter has an opportunity to vote in every election. One of the things that we did in the legislature just this year was we added 3 more acceptable forms of identification. So if somebody comes to vote, they don't have their driver's license with them, you don't have to turn them away. There are other opportunities for them to present an identification card with their signature on it. That's one of the things. I want to make sure that everybody who's eligible gets to vote. And one of the things that many people don't think about is if you have ineligible people voting, those people are disenfranchising the people who aren't eligible, because many times they're canceling out their vote. But anyhow, I'm committed to making sure every eligible voter has that opportunity.
Thank you very much, Senator Allen Hayes. Before you candidates leave the podium, and you are free to leave, we're going to call up the next group of candidates. But I want you to know that a lot of the things that you have mentioned today is very important to the NAACP. One, of course, with me being the chair of civic engagement, we have a huge push for voter registration. As you move forward in your efforts, just know that we've set goals for ourselves. You know, across the state, there are quotas and thoughts and numbers that have been thrown out, but we've set a pretty high bar as well, and we want you to know that we will show up. We have people who have made the choice to come out, volunteer their time to register people to vote. We are doing training all over the county. My president was put me in a position, I'm going to 7 counties doing voter registration and make people, so she really believes in me, but we want you to be sure to invite us, because if it's not me, we have several volunteers that will show up to any event whether it's an event or not, if there is a community, an association, or anything that comes up where we need to be there, and it doesn't have to be under the umbrella of the NAACP, we just want you to know that we're there to engage. And you should engage us because we're certainly going to hold you accountable when you take that office, because Imogene has done us well in the last 44 years. That may have been before I was born, but but she served us well, and so it's important that we get a candidate that's going to represent all communities. So thank you very much for your time. We're going to ask the candidates for the County Commission District 1 to please take this stage. Folks, I don't have to tell you that the folks that we have here today, not just this race, but all of the ones that we have invited, these are some of the most important races in our county. It's the thought of the potential, and I say potential, Commissioner, people taking over this office and governing us is very important, and so it's important also that we are truly informed. I'm happy to say that in all three of these races, there is an incumbent candidate and a commissioner. So we have 3 current county commissioners here that are running, and we have eager candidates running against them. So
now's the time to ask for something.
Exactly. And so that's one of our county commissioners, Jimmy Connor. But I want, for the leaders here who are taking notes, going back to your communities, to be sure to hear these folks out, because these 3 races could very well change the dynamic of our community, the dynamics of our community. So we need to pay close attention. And I don't mean to make you guys nervous, not at all. And I know all 3 of these gentlemen. I'm glad to have each one of you here. And so we'll just, not to prolong the time, get started. We're going to go according to the program. That means you, our current County Commissioner, Tim Sullivan.
Well, thank you very much for this great opportunity. I'm not a preacher, so I'm a little uncomfortable standing behind the podium here. But thank you, Pastor, in your comments about contingents and those kind of things that you see. You know, I have a prepared speech that I always go through. But the fact of the matter is, this is about facts. I got up this morning, I read the article about Mrs. Upshaw. She's a team coach that's been in the Leesburg school system for many, many, many years and mentored and coached children and teachers and everybody there. I had the honor and good fortune to play basketball at Leesburg High School with her son. I got to be coached by a guy named H.O. Dabney, Hubert O. Dabney, one of the big influences in my life as I move forward. And that set my tone of values. You know, I went to a military college where I was taught, informed to me, I don't lie, cheat, or steal. I play by the rules. You know, I spent 33 years in the military. I went through the highest ranks. You know, I'm a retired brigadier general. I've led soldiers in combat. I've passed the flag across to families who've lost their sons and daughters in combat. If you don't believe that you don't believe in this country, just try that without having a strong Christian-based foundation of values about what life is all about and why this country is as great as it is. That's Tim Sullivan, okay? In my profession, I'm a registered investment advisor. I know more about rules and regulations because I get looked at every 6 months and every month by every rule regulation. So, you know, I was really pleased to hear about this ceremony and this program, and that we're going to really get to meet people, and it wasn't going to be about slick brochures and negative campaigning and those kind of things. That's who I am. You know, my children, I raised my children here. I'm a part of this community. People might not like it that District 1 that includes Leesburg in it, which is where I have 2 residences. okay? I'm up front, that's just the way Tim Sullivan is. But it's about putting the right person in the seat and, or in this case, retaining the right person who has the baggage to know what's important for Lake County. You know, it's about job creation. It's about making sure our taxes are not out of line, because every tax dollar we take out of your pocket doesn't go into the economy to help us grow and create jobs. That's what Tim Sullivan is about, and that's why I seek your vote to be your continuing county commissioner in District 1. Thank you.
Mr. Michael?
Good afternoon, everyone.
It is on, yes, sir.
Great, thank you very much. I'm a walker, so I'd like to walk around a little bit. You know, I really would just really like to thank the Woodson Temple and your crew and Sonia, Pastor Chris, for having me over today. It's a great honor and a privilege to be here. I was really excited when I got the invitation to come, and it's really an honor to be here now. My name is Mike Levine, and I'm a candidate for the Lake County Board of County Commissioners in District 1. I came into Lake County 18 years ago as a real estate broker. I was living in Osceola County, and the real estate market moved out this way. So I opened an office down by the post office. Those of you who do go south on Highway 27, there's a post office down there. And I was really the first commercial business opened on this 27 corridor in that little Four Corners area. So I've been selling real estate down there for 18 years. I'm a property manager, so I run a pool of rental properties, and I think I have a pretty good feeling for what's going on in the south part of the county, which is District 1. Over the years, I've been involved in what's going on, and it's always been kind of a surprise to me that while Osceola County, on the west side of Osceola County, has boomed, and you have a lot of commercial development there, and when you cross the line into Polk County and you see what's happening in the Champions Gate area, I've been pretty vocal over the years about why do we not have that kind of growth down here in South Lake County? We are just as close to Walt Disney World as Osceola and Polk. You can look and see, of course, Orange County had a head start on us. I grew up in East Orlando. I went to first grade at Eaglewood Elementary School, and I graduated from Colonial High School. I'm a Florida State Seminole. For the Seminole fans in the room, the Gators, I guess we're going to have to bridge that gap. But my concern has been for a long time of why do we not see the development down in the South Lake part of the county that we see in the other counties. So that's something that's really important to me. Over the years, I've talked to several of the county commissioners, and it seems like there's a mindset that says that the pie is only so big and we have to divvy it up and send it where we want it to go, which means some people get resources and some people don't. And I just don't believe that. I don't believe the pie is a fixed size. I think we need to grow an economy here. But let me just get down to the couple of points that I think are most important about my campaign. Number one, the Board of County Commissioners needs to project an image that says that we're unified as a team. The county commission in Lake County, a lot of counties have a charter. Lake County doesn't have a charter. So that means that Lake County's Board of County Commissioners is governed by state statute. And there's no local rules that determine how the county commission does its business. So think about it. If you're a business owner and you want to invest, you're going to invest money, you're going to open a business somewhere, and let's just say it's a $50 million investment or a $100 million investment, it's pretty important to that investor that they know how government is going to treat them. So what I would say is that one of the first priorities we have to have is we've got to have a commission that's unified and speaks in a unified voice, because if we don't have that, it's going to be really difficult to attract investment to our area. Obviously, anyone who's investing a lot of money wants to know that they have a good, solid partner that's predictable in the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. The second thing that's really important to me is, and if you just ask yourself, what makes a great community? I know there's a lot of ways that we could answer that question, but the two things that really come to my mind are, number one, can our citizens get a good private sector job where the compensation on that job is, I like to use the word adequate, but I believe it should be better than adequate, so we can raise a family and provide for our kids and do the things that we want to do, live a lifestyle that we as Americans consider to be a quality lifestyle. We want to educate our kids, we want to have some entertainment, and the big thing that's happening in America today, ladies and gentlemen, is retirement. You know, how are people in private sector jobs where most companies have limited retirement benefits, how do we actually retire at the end of our careers? So the first thing to me to define a community that is successful is the population, the workforce, has to be able to go out and get a good quality job where we can live a nice, high quality standard of living. Lake County lags behind in household income. So I think it's something we really have to work on. The short answer to the conversation that I'm having with you right now is that we have to engage in private sector business development. The other thing, before we move on to the next point, would be that we really need to see business creation happening here. We need to be working with the community to demonstrate to our workforce, particularly our young people, how to start their own business. I know that when I talk to people that are self-employed, they feel a lot more in control of their lives and in control of their income than someone who works for someone else. So I think it's always a good idea for those people who are up to the task to provide an opportunity for our citizens and our workforce to start their own business. So I think that we really need to work on our economic development. We need to get household income up in Lake County by bringing business to Lake County and encouraging people to start their own business. The other thing that's really important that I think will resonate with everyone is that if we are not educating our kids, if we are not delivering a high-quality education to all of our kids, I just don't know how we can say that we're successful. So I realize I've been around and I've talked to the school district, the board, the Lake County School Board. I've got friends on the school board and we talk about it all the time. How do you fund Lake County schools? I just had a meeting with the realtors and the home builders to talk about impact fees and those kind of things. And you just take a look at the situation and we need to improve our schools. We have some challenges there. I'm not running for a school board seat, although sometimes I feel like I am. But the truth of the matter is that we have to deliver a high-quality education to all of our kids. And as human beings, and particularly as Americans who pride ourselves on passing along to our kids a better quality of life than what we had, we need to be able to do that. And I believe that education is the key. In some of my pieces, I would reference the common phrase that says, education is the great equalizer. So I would like to just leave you with this idea. There are 3,144 counties in Lake County, which would include the parishes and boroughs of Louisiana and New York and Alaska. There are 3,144 counties in the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, we, together, everyone in this room, is responsible for this one. We are Lake County, Florida. A lot of times in my political career, I've heard people complain about Washington, D.C. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's build a Lake County that we are all proud of, where our citizens have a great opportunity to make a living, and we're delivering an A-rated education for our kids. And that says that we're doing our part to make America a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord. If you want to stand there with the podium, that's just fine. We're going to ask one question. Oh, Mayor Tim Lausch. Yes, please. We won't forget you, Mayor Tim.
I'll be happy to take the question.
We won't give you that edge. Mayor Lausch. We're going to let you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your plan.
Thank you, Shelley.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here this afternoon, and the first thing I want to say is we hear a lot of times separation of church and state. It's misconstrued a lot of times. What that means is the state stays out of the church's business, not the church stays out of the state's business. And to see this group gathered in the church, I think is one of the most valuable assets that this county can ask for. We don't see this in big cities, and we don't see this across the United States. Pastor, thank you. Thank you so much for allowing this and allowing us to be here today. I'm Tim Loucks. I'm running, as you know, for County Commission District 1. And before I go into my little elevator speech, I wanted to remind everyone that the District 1 County Commission election is an open race this year. And what that means is that regardless of whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, you can vote in the August 30th primaries. And that particular primary will decide who will be the next county commissioner for Lake County District 1, which covers South Lake County. A little about myself. I was born in 1956 in Fort Meade, Maryland. I moved to Groveland when I was 2 months old. My wife and I moved to Groveland here in South Lake County about 8 years ago. I was elected mayor, or not mayor, but council member 2010 City of Groveland. Served 2 years as vice mayor, and I've served 3 years and currently the mayor in the city of Groveland. My core political philosophies are very simple. Understanding government works best when the people are involved and the elected officials listen. My core political beliefs is God has given us the ability to work in harmony for the common good of our nation and its people. And only we as Americans make the dreams and the victories of yesterday come true. We hold that ability in the palm of our hands, and it's imperative that we work together as one, regardless of what nationality, what race we are, in order to make that dream come true. We cannot let that slip away. It is our gift. My primary goals, I'm going to continue to fight every day for equal rights for all Americans and to correct the past injustices that Lake County has seen. I'm going to continue to create an aggressive drug prevention and education program along with the after-school and summer programs designed to entice our youth away from the negative elements of drugs and other crimes. One of the problems we've got is I believe in Lake County we're not doing enough to prevent these activities, and therefore our prisons are filling up. Once a young man gets a record or a young lady gets a record, it follows them for the rest of their life. It's imperative that we stop that at the young age. We can prevent a lot of the problems we're having right now with simple prevention. I mentioned a couple of sheriff's candidates. Should I get elected and they bring a budget before the county commission without this element in it, that I would be inclined to vote no on that particular budget. We have a large community services. I looked down through the list of things we had, and I didn't really see an aggressive program to do this. So that's one of the things I want to do. The other thing that I'm really looking at is creating and enhancing our affordable and low-income housing. We're lacking in that element. We've got some issues with our HUD-back grants that are coming down the pike. It's a 40-year-old law that's been put in place, and now it's going to enforce it. Doing a little research on that, I found out that we can also do voluntary compliance on that particular law, and that'll eliminate the mandatory federal interference in our low housing and affordable housing programs. And with that, I've got a lot of qualifications, past accomplishments, but I'd ask if you'd visit me at electloucks.lakecounty.com to list all those. I don't want to keep you here all afternoon listing those particular things. I think if you will take a look at the website, it's quite informative, and it's got my whole past on it. And again, I ask that you vote Loucks on August 30th for County Commission District 1. Thank you.
For the sake of time, I'm going to ask just one question. Thank you all for the feedback. So, if you don't mind, initially I was going to ask day one, what would be that issue that you would change, but I think that would give unfair advantage to Commissioner Sullivan because he's been changing things for quite some time. So, for the sake of time, Commissioner, you can take the podium, please. The question is, what sets you apart from the other candidates here today?
Great question.
Glad
to hear. Glad to hear. No, I'm totally vested in the community of Lake County. I raised my children here. You know, I went to school here. I've been a mayor, a city commissioner. I've sat on the school board. I know what a tough job they have. And more important, I ran a business here for many, many years. As a matter of fact, right over here on Montrose Street, I worked with a Living Bomb Insurance all for many, many years to bring what I do for a living to the table. I've sat across the kitchen table from people, so I understand what the issues are. And what we have to do is take the issues are affordable housing, impact fees, all those kind of things, and apply it so that people out here don't suffer and don't take an undue burden, so that we can continue to move Lake County forward to have the quality of life that so many of us enjoy here. And I will do that as a county commissioner, as I have the last 4 years. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for the question. That's a great question. And for me, I think the thing that would certainly differentiate me from either one of my competitors is that I've never held public office before. I'm a realtor. I've been a member of the Florida National Association of Realtors since 1993. And the realtor organization is a really political organization. Today they boast that they spend around 50% of their resources on politics. So I was well indoctrinized into politics in the realtor organization. That's how I really learned a little bit about politics and got my interest in it. But the fact of the matter is that the realtors and I don't agree all the time. There's a lot of things that the realtors support that I don't support. And I've never blindly followed the trade association that I'm a member of just because that's the direction that the wind was blowing. I achieved high office at the Florida Association of Realtors, but chose a different path of public service rather than pursuing further leadership opportunities with the realtors. I felt like the economic crash was something the realtors could have prevented, and they didn't, for 1 million members. So I was really just discouraged by that, and I complained about it before it happened. So the point that I'm trying to make to you is that I'm going to look at things with a very objective point of view. I'm not swayed by political influences like a lot of other candidates are. So the 2 points would be that I've never held public office. I'm a private sector, self-employed person that's been signing the front and the back of a paycheck for at least 18 years. And that I'm not really influenced by politics much. I'm going to make decisions based on the merits of the issue in front of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lausch.
So I need to answer that question. There's several things. I'd like to touch on a couple of them if I can. Experience. I came from Reed Creek Energy Service, Walt Disney World. We're actually a governing body for Walt Disney World. We operate very similar to a county. We operate a utility company that has 13 utilities on it, so I'm very well versed in that particular aspect of it. The biggest thing that sets me apart is my ability to compromise. Every time we go to a situation, we have a developer or a citizen come in and there's a situation that is a disagreement. I've had the ability, and proven that ability in the last 7.5 years, to find common ground that everybody could live with. I live by a motto that simply says, in any negotiations, always be prepared to give up something to come with the same end result that will work for everybody. We've done that time and time and time again. I have a very large compassion and understanding of the people's rights. I don't work for the government. I work for the people that elect me. A lot of the decisions I make are influenced by the people, and they're for the people in the best interest of the majority of the people. I did not cater to special interests. I did not take contributions from special interests. I've turned down probably more than I care to talk about from special interests for that very reason. If I'm representing big money corporations, I'm not representing you. I looked into the past of South Lake County. Coming from 20 miles from here, we had some pretty bad experiences growing up in West Orange County. And of course, I came across the Groven 4 incident that happened in Groven and South Lake County many years back. I felt compelled to do what we could possibly do to rectify that. We cannot correct it. We can't go back 67 years and correct that problem. But what we can do is recognize it. I did that in the city of Groveland. Lake County followed suit, and we're currently working with the state. Hopefully we can get this completely resolved in this next session. I don't believe that Lake County can heal culturally until this problem is recognized at the state level and resolved, and I'll continue to fight for that particular issue as long as I as long as I'm able to anyway, within public office or not. Again, the ability to reason, common sense solutions to very difficult problems. I don't play partisan politics. I don't vote with other commissioners or other council members in my particular case. A lot of times they get mad at me for that very reason, and that's okay. I think I see our city manager sitting in the back of the room back here, and it's coming our budget time. And so I imagine that we will probably be at odds by the end of August. We normally last about that long.
Mayor, we're going to ask you to wrap it up, please.
Okay. But that is the compromise that I want to make sure that I vote for the people and not for the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all three candidates. I appreciate it. I'm sorry. Thank you. Round of applause. And one of the reasons I said, we're going to stop right there with the questions is because we could easily turn this into a debate. Matter of fact, Madam President, I think that'll be one of our series as we get closer to November. Although a lot of these races will be decided August 30th, but we could easily turn this process into a debate, but we won't do that in the sake of time. We're going to ask that our next group of county commissioners for District 3 please take the stage. Please be mindful of time and yes.